and welcome to the 7th edition of our webinar series, Big Questions. In this series, we have been talking to the school leaders about emerging issues in school education to find a collective insight. I am Vagish Jha. I am the academic lead and head of the Teacher Professional Development Wing of Schoolnet. I have with me my colleague, Arindam Ghosh, Senior Vice President and Head of Strategy. Arindam.
Thank you, Vagishi. And on behalf of Schoolnet India, I extend a very warm welcome to our panelists to this latest edition of the Big Questions webinar. I am Arindam Ghosh. I head strategy at Schoolnet India. And we have been hosting this webinar series, Big Questions, for the last 6 months. And this is the 7th version, the 7th edition of this webinar series. The idea being to, hear from all of you, your experience as educators, as practitioners of education, of the challenges that you have faced while extending learning services to students during the pandemic, and what challenges you foresee going forward. So designed as an intimate dialogue, this webinar is an attempt to understand the ground realities and the emerging scenario in the school education with experts and thought leaders. So today, as we speak, we have with us two veteran principals of schools from different parts of the country joining us. Vagishi.
Yes. So actually, in this webinar, we try to bring together principals and school leaders from different parts of the country. And we have lined up 3 principals who are here with us, one from Bangalore, the other one from Sholapur, and third one from Dehradun. Let's get a different kinds of perspective, but then this technology is a very funny thing sometimes. And so the Dehradun principal, sir, is still trying to find out a proper place where he can join. And Sholapur madam is with us, but the moment she goes on video, we lose her out. But Adita ma'am is there with us. May I request Anita ma'am to introduce herself, and if Gayatri ma'am also is able to speak out. So let's introduce 2 panelists who are there with us right now. Anita ma'am.
Yes. Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Vagish Jha and Mr. Arindam Ghosh. A very good evening, audience. It's a warm feel to come on this platform associated with Schoolnet and Genio, who are doing a great job. Thanks to invite me to this platform to share my views about online teaching and these 2 years of very tough time which the global scenario if we think of. So this is a very nice platform to share our views. Having said that, yes, I am Anita R. Patil, the principal of Triveni Public School from the Silicon City of India, that is Bengaluru, where technology is supposed to be on the top notch. But yes, when I talk about the online classes and the Silicon City, these 2 years of experience, what we had has given a new dimension to the field of education, I believe. So having said that, my school is in the Hesarghatta main road, which is pretty catering to the need of the localites of in and around Tumkuru and Hesarghatta. And the founder, late Mr. Karyappa, so he's from the technical background, and he is an engineer from the BEL. Now that the secretary, the son of the late founder, Mr. Manjunath, is taking care of the TMAT group of institutions, we have college degree and PU board also over here. And I look into the ICSE school. So we cater to the grades across, kindergarten to the 10th standard ICSE, and we have co-education in our school. So it's in the very limelight of this page, I can say that I'm glad to be here on this platform to share my views. Thank you.
This is a great pleasure for us that you are here with us. Gayatri ma'am, can we have your views if my voice is audible to you? I know you are facing some technical issues. Gayatri ma'am? Okay, so Arindam sir, before let me connect with Gayatri ma'am at the back end. You can. I think that let's you can quickly give a kind of an overview of Schoolnet if possible. In the meanwhile, I will try to connect with Gayatri ma'am at the back.
Sure, Vagish ji. Thank you so much. Thank you, Anita ma'am, Gayatri ma'am, for joining us today in this webinar series. Quickly, I would like to give you a brief background of what we are as Schoolnet and what we have been doing all these years. We are one of India's oldest and perhaps the first company to use technology in the classroom. We were incubated in 1997. And since then, our objective was that how can we improve the efficiency of teaching within a classroom? And when we started working with the schools way back then, we felt that technology can be a great leveler. Technology can be judiciously used to improve engagement levels in the classroom and also reduce the time to task for a teacher, making her more efficient so that she can give personalized attention. That's the premise on which we started working. So what we did, we have been for the last 20 years, working on creating various forms of multi-sensory content, multimedia videos to teaching lessons, to experiments which are virtual in nature. All of that we developed, which is aligned to the curriculum. Having developed that, the next problem was that how could we disseminate that particular content to the remotest corners of the country? That's when we developed a device, which is an integrated teaching and learning device called K-YAN. K as in knowledge, Yan, Y-A-N, Yan meaning vehicle in Sanskrit, a vehicle of knowledge, which is kind of a 6-in-1 device that combines computer plus short throw projection system, plus built-in interactivity, audio system, built-in inbuilt camera, and all of that in one simple box, which can be carried from one classroom to the other, very portable with single wire. So that device loaded with content and a constant hand-holding support and service provided to the schools for supporting teachers in teaching with digital pedagogy is what we started working on. And through this suite of services, device plus content plus training of teachers, we also added another layer, which is access device for students in partnership with Google for Education, which is basically Google's Chromebooks. So with this entire suite of services, we try to improve the digital transformation, implement digital transformation in the classroom so that the teacher's efficiency enhances, the teaching efficiency enhances, which in turn can actually help in the learning outcomes. Having done that, what we felt that while many of these students who are going to the classroom, when they go out of the classroom and when they're studying at home, how can we create a continuity of learning environment? What she is learning in school, if the same content is made available after school also for her to engage. And different types of learners have different types of content. Different types of content. So that's when we created Genio, which is a personalized platform that uses curated content, again mapped to the textbook and provided with an artificial intelligence backend that can actually understand the learning gaps in a child and suggest a unique learning path to that particular child to bridge that gap with respect to achieving her competency in that grade. So with this suite of services for classroom and for students outside the classroom when they're studying on their own at home, we created this suite of services using technology. Our objective is, as an organization, we are aligned to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 4, provide lifelong learning opportunities to students across spectrum to remove all barriers to learning and democratize education. So with that objective, currently we are present in around 40,000 schools, impacting some 15 million students and teachers. And we expect and we believe that with this approach of democratizing education in the middle and the bottom of the pyramid, we in fact intend to impact 100 million learners over the next 5 to 7 years. So that's briefly about Schoolnet. Magishi.
So John Nanda sir, I had a talk with him. He is trying to join in. So small places also and big places also have the similar problem of technology, and Gayatri ma'am is also coming in. So let's start first of all by let's get the discussion rolling. Anita ma'am, Tell me that what is the situation in Bangalore right now? Have the schools started opening? What are the classes that students are joining in? And while you are trying to tell us that, we are interested to know your views. What do you think is going to change forever in the education that we are going to have? And what is going to remain constant? These two parts. What is going to change forever in education and what is going to remain constant? And what is the situation in Bangalore?
Well, before starting up with this, a nice introduction about the Schoolnet and Genio. It's been a wonderful avenue to reach such a huge mass, Mr. Anindam. Yes, at present in Bengaluru, what I can say is we started with full swing from the month of August. Some of the schools with 50% of online and offline students in. And we just did with 1 month and say 1.5 months or 2 months, we could segregate the students. We could, convince the parents with the survey, and calling them in for the offline was a task basically with us. They were scared, they were skeptical about what might happen in case if they come to the school offline. And with the technology in mind, and also some of the challenges what we have with the technology, with the economic condition of the parents, those who cannot give us the facility for online. So that remained to be unanswered. So we thought we'll start with the offline, and we have right now 99% of the students in our school right across grade 1 to grade 10. That's actually amazing. And we could complete the ICSE first semester board examination as on date. So all the students were writing offline, and that was a great success. All over Bangalore, ICSE schools are running, and all the students across the grades 1 to 10 are offline. And some of the schools, most of the schools are giving both offline and online. They have still continued to give both the hybrid way of teaching. So that is about the present situation. And the next part of the question as to what is next and how are we going to go about the present, what is going to be remaining constant and what has to change? That's actually a good question, Mr. Vageshja. Yes, with this challenge, I have understood that technology plays a very important role because learning is continuous. We cannot stop the students from learning, or learning cannot stop at any point of time. We need to keep one crucial thing in mind, that is, we need to engage the students. That is the prime important thing, what I've understood these 2 years. Forget about learning the concepts, learning the subject. How to engage the student plays a crucial role over here, wherein technology pitches in. Think of no mobiles, no any media to support us. It would have been very, very difficult to catch with engaging such young minds which are full of energy. So that is where I think what's going to give a permanent new dimension to education is we should have a network of many things with technology in mind. That is where when we talk about the blended learning. So hybrid learning and blended learning are the two important things which stay, hand in hand together now on. That is what is the change that we can expect in future, and which is good because see what happens is we need to connect at the end of the day, and media and these things, technologies like you said about the CAM, the demo of which I had seen here. It's such a beautiful technology that we can implement so many things, and it is mobile. We can carry it wherever we want, and it gives us that effective way of reaching to the child, right? So think of say a small Walt Disney cartoon, the Tom and the Jerry show, right? The students are so, even now, if I think if we sit in front of the television with that cartoon in front, I am sure that we will not get distracted from that. So what makes that so crucial there, the technology? It's not only that, it's the creativity behind it, right? So this new thing is what we require at this point of time, that we need to be creative in delivering the schooling for the students of this 21st century now. The need of the hour is blended and hybrid learning together,
Fantastic.
right?
So
I think you touched upon a very, very important point. I mean, two very important points. One is engagement,
Correct.
be it online or offline, in whichever mode. Engagement is very crucial to, gain the attention of the child. And then once the child is engaged, then only she would be in a position to learn. That's one point you mentioned. And second, you talked of the blended and the hybrid mode of learning, which supported by technology, which you feel is going to be the norm going forward. I was quite curious to learn from you, ma'am, that with respect to this particular topic of engagement, any specific example you would like to give when it suddenly became online last year during the pandemic? What specific measures or tools you would have deployed in the classrooms, the virtual classrooms, to engage the children? One. And now that schools have started reopening from August, as you mentioned, and students were almost used to online mode of learning, and now half of them must have started coming to school. What challenges you see, again, transitioning, weaning them back from online to half physical, half digital? What challenges you see there?
Arindam,
Yes.
I will request you. Gayatri ma'am is there, and John David Nanda sir has also joined us finally. So may I ask both of them to quickly say a few words about themselves in brief, and then we will come back to the question that you asked. I will request you to repeat the question again. Gayatri ma'am, can you hear us? You have to unmute yourself to speak up. I know that there is a bandwidth issue, so I will not ask you to come on video. And John, yes, Gayatri ma'am.
Yes, myself, John David Nanda, and I'm there in this is, we can say, the noble profession from the past 21, 22 years, trying to understand the students, their way of thinking, their way of doing, their way of response towards the institution, towards the teachers, and towards the school. And earlier I was there in the boarding schools in George's College, Missouri, and now I've shifted to Dehradun as one of the CBSE board school in Dehradun, Acacia Public School, and I've taken as the post of principal. But I told you earlier also that I don't want to be called as a principal. I want to be called as a mentor and the guardian of the students. So this is my brief introduction. Thanks so much.
Fantastic. So, according to you, what is going to remain? What is not going to be there in the educational scenario? What has changed forever? Very brief response before we come to the second question.
Actually, when we say the changes are not forever. Changes are for time being. Okay. When the students started coming, the main thing we noticed, because it's not a long time that they've started for the offline classes, the loss of motivation. Okay, because motivation comes from the teachers when one-to-one interaction is there. Okay, online is different thing. We don't know in which way the students are learning. When we pray, if we lie down and pray, that is a different thing. And when we come on our knees and pray, that is a different thing. So similarly, when we take the studies and when we take the classes, if the students are not sitting in the proper position, it does not have the great impact on the, we can say, the child and the teacher interaction. Okay. And we can say the discipline is also getting disturbed, or the basic thing is they are out of track. And this is the challenge they faced, because this is the first time for everyone. Teachers learn the, we can say, the technology. Most of us were not techno savvy, but we learned very quickly, and students also learn very quickly, because although they are much more advanced than all of us in terms of technology, when we say the use of mobile or any device, if you give them mobile for games, Okay, their left hand and right hand brain starts working together. But when we talk about the studies, according to the different psychologists and different, we can say, the counselors, they say left hand is the role of left hand side brain is different, the right hand side role is different. One is for the, we can say, the mental maths and all these things, one is for the music and all these things. But when they use mobile for games, the interaction, we can say, the left and right hand brain start together. So this is the difference. Okay, and the offline cannot be replaced by online. This is my view, but we have to live, as we have to live with the corona. Similarly, we have to live with both modes, okay, online as well as offline. This is
Okay, so
my,
Arindam sir had asked one very interesting question from Anita ma'am. Can you
yeah.
please repeat that question, Arindam sir, so that Anita can respond, and then John sir can also respond.
Yeah, so I was actually building on the points which Anita ma'am had talked about. She had talked about the most important thing from a teacher's perspective is engaging the child. And whether it is online or it is offline, it is important. How do you engage? So I wanted to learn from Anita ma'am any specific example that she might like to share with us on how any specific example or any specific method that uh, the teachers of her school would have adopted for engaging children when online was there, when we suddenly went online last year. And now that students have started coming back to school, they had gotten used to this online mode of learning for the last 1 year. And now it's how to win them back. How are you engaging with them now so that, they come back on track, as John sir was saying that, people had lost track of the way, the way traditionally we were teaching and learning. So how do you bring them back to track? So those are the two questions.
Yes, well, see what happens basically is most of the teachers are not tech savvy, as Mr. John said, and change is inevitable. We have to get adapted to it. And with that rapid sessions of training the teachers first to get friendly with the technology, just few features in some of the mobiles, we get anxious about it. So we had to start with training the teachers to get used to this online platform, and bringing Zoom into integration, and Google Meet, and trying out which would be users friendly for them, so that they didn't get panicked. And some of the teachers who were finding it really to face the screen as such, and behind the scene, the parents were judging the teacher in on and throughout the sessions. So that was something which was very very difficult for most of the educational institutions to cope up with. So we need to have orientations for the teachers, workshops for the teachers to get acquainted with these technologies. Thankfully, our management, we already had smart boards in all the classes with the census boards built in, which the teachers, most of our teachers were acquainted with. But yes, there were few teachers who used to, who needed the technical support, right? And the right bandwidth of the speed, be it in terms of the internet connectivity, be it the screen time, and to engage them, it becomes one way if I start talking to them, giving lectures like the traditional way. So there comes the flip learning, and what I understand here is we need to introduce a learner centric method of teaching the students, wherein the child will be more active and the teacher becomes just a facilitator there, an observer. So we had some of the like Schoolnet, you may talk about Kyan or Genio. So we had all the platforms pitching in quickly, rapidly, in within no time, that we could associate with some of the educational technical skill sets, and companies which we had to collaborate with. And we started implementing all the NLP, and getting used to the worksheet, keeping them posted. Like I said, flip learning, which was most interesting. Initially, in the traditional method, what happens is we teach, they go home, they solve the worksheet, or maybe they do the homework, or they take the resource and they come back.
Right.
It's the other way around. The flip teaching now online would be, I give them initially to prepare for the topic. I tell them, okay, go do this. If I resource it out, find out what is going to happen. And I give them some base work. They do the groundwork, and then the next class, they come up with the activities what we have given through this flip learning, and we give the light upon what the child has done. We link it, we carry it further, and then continue it with the usual way of, I said hybrid way of teaching them, right? So it is like the other way round of teaching. The children, they do the background work, they come forward, we teach them, and we collaborate their learning, our learning, and blend it, and then come out with what is expected, the objective of learning. So that is one kind, that is the flip learning, what I understand is greatly utilized on online.
Right.
And here, what is the prime importance and crucial thing that we have to understand online is harnessing the education technology, I say. When I say to harness the education technology, there is a digression. Most of the teachers used to tell me, ma'am, they are playing Minecraft when I'm teaching. They are, most of the time, they're not on screen. They say that the internet is not working.
Correct.
They say that we cannot come on the video mode. How do we engage them in that at that point of time? It becomes one. I don't know whether the child is learning or not.
Right.
That is when we have to harness the education technology. How do we do it? Is we have AI now. We have VR, virtual, augmented reality and virtual system. We can visual and augmented reality. We can bring into picture. We can use all those platforms to teach the student, and that engages them. That gives them a different dimension in learning itself. When I say artificial intelligence, we had one session wherein we had generated a quiz platform for the students, and the quiz was AI prone, and there the child will start answering few questions based on the concepts, and if the child is unable to answer, the AI is designed in such a way that the child gets a level which is lesser than what the conceptual understanding of the child is. It cracks that question and then goes to the next level. So, that is how it helped the child to, basically, nobody is there to judge the child right, wrong. But the child is learning throughout using technology at that point of time. And the teacher is in front. The teacher is helping the child to make the child understand that, okay, this is where you have to crack the question. So that is where the teacher plays a role, just to facilitate the child at that point of time. So I think, in short, the technological risks have to be checked at every level. Becoming it's a costly distraction, I can say. So we have to plan well, and we, as Arindam said, we have to deploy the educational technology to power up, the schools for a long term rather than cutting it short, right? So I think VR and some of the quiz platforms, which AI-driven quiz platforms, we can use them and we can engage this child productively, I can say.
Yeah, thank you so much, Anita ma'am. I think those are useful insights. I would go to John sir with the same question, that as you said, that last 1 year, 1.5 years, schools being closed and online learning suddenly happening. So it took all of us by surprise, right? So it took some time for us to also understand how to cope with it. And now different schools in different parts of the country had to adopt different means, to continue learning with some reasonable success. In some cases, there were challenges and all of that. So I would like to know your experience of having dealt with this situation in the last 1.5 years. And secondly, now that schools have started reopening, how do you plan to kind of tackle it to, bring back students into the mainstream, the traditional way of learning?
Okay.
Has the schools open? All the students have started coming to the school.
Yeah. Schools have started. In Uttarakhand, Dehradun, all the schools are open, and we had the offline exams also, and we are just going to finish with the exam for that is the midterm exams we are having. So let's come to the ground reality. Okay, that is the most important thing. Whatever we discuss, that is, the discussion should not be on the table. It should be implemented. Okay, because we all are here because of the children, because of the teachers, because of the society, and because of the nation. We all are gathered here. So the most important is how to make the classes interactive. Okay. As I already mentioned that for this platform, it's very new to the teachers. Okay. As far as technology is concerned, the children are much more advanced than all of us. They know how to operate the gadgets more smartly than much more smartly than all of us. So for them, it was not a big challenge. Only thing, how to make the classes interactive and how to means their we can say the live classes should be a live class. It should not be the, we can say, the muted one, and the video is also off. So they should feel the importance that each and every one is important in the class, because most of us, we give because when we started the online classes, that syllabus was going very fast. Okay, and most of the teachers have finished the syllabus, okay, very quickly, because less questions were there. Okay, in the offline classes, the interaction is also there, because apart from the teaching, the teachers used to interact with the student, that how are you, how are your members in the family, and what you are doing, what are your plans for the future, and all these things. But in the online classes, this interaction was very low, and this is very true. Okay, we are just trying to cope up with the syllabus and all these things, and giving the assignments to them. So to make the online classes effective, because as I told you, according to my concern, that we cannot say that now online classes will not be there. Now online classes will be there, and we have to make the part of the curriculum. Okay, and so that everyone should be in the, we can say, it should not be that we are just jumping into the sea. Okay, it should not be jumping into the river. Okay, they should have the proper practice, and one session should be there once in a week or twice in a week if offline classes will be started fully, okay, in a full swing. So 1 or 2 sessions should be there. Okay, so that the teachers and children will be there. We can say that they will be engaged in the online classes mode, and the teachers have to do the self assessment. How the best way to judge ourselves is not, cannot be judged by others. Okay, the best way to judge ourselves is the self assessment. The teacher should have the prudency, we can say, that should have very prudent about how much they have learned. Okay, and if they are not able to cope up with the latest technologies and multiple, we can say, the multiple sources they have to use, and the training program should be there. Okay, and same training program should be there with the students also, and proper counseling is required. Because children get demotivated very quickly. So proper counseling is very much required by the parents and as well as by the teachers. Okay, so we should have the session with the parents. Okay, that these are the pros and cons of the online classes, and if you're not if a child is not taking it properly or not taking it in a serious mode, so this will be done. Because they just tell them that your limit is not to clear the classes, means the board classes 10th and 12th. Your limit is to crack the competitive exam, and for cracking the competitive exam, you should have the proper knowledge of the subject. Okay, nowadays everyone is getting the 90, above 90, where everyone is relaxed. Okay, if you ask from the student that how much you will get it, so it says easily say 90, so we'll get it. Okay, they are very confident, because during our time 90s was just we can say the big dream for all of us. So now though everyone knows that we'll get the 90s easily. So we have to motivate themselves, because motivation comes from the teachers and the parents, and most importantly, we have to motivate, the teacher should motivate themselves first. Okay, they
John sir,
have to, yeah.
yeah, John sir, you were talking about that students are better equipped with dealing with the digital technology.
Yeah.
And this 1.5 years or more than that has kind of forced almost all the teachers to get acquainted with the online tools and platforms.
Mhm.
Now that the schools are opening, and you say that in both the cases, in the case of Bangalore and the case of Dehradun, all the students are coming in. Give us the realistic, not in terms of should, in terms of what you are doing actually, in terms of whether you are, how you are putting in online, offline. Is it a hybrid mode or is it a blended mode? How are you going to go about it?
No, we are doing it. We are doing it parallelly. Those who are not, because we cannot force anyone to come to the school. Okay, those most of the students are coming. Okay, most of the students are coming. If you'll say, as far as our school is concerned, out of 100%, 95% attendance is there. Because some of the students are coming from the village area, some of the students are coming from very, we can say the remote areas, means from the hill stations and all these things, that they are not getting the proper connectivity. Okay, so few students are not coming, but we are giving the online and offline mode. But the thing is that by my view is, according, this is, I'm not saying that this is the view of each and everyone. The online classes cannot be replaced by offline classes. Okay, because online classes, you will make it 100%. You can make it interactive. Okay, you can make it. You can use a lot of things to make it attractive. Okay, but the thing is that how much we are doing, that is the concern, and we are doing it. We are doing it. We are making. I told my teachers also. I told my management also. Apart from teaching, they should have the interactive classes. They should have the cultural activities also. Okay, so that they can have the physical fitness also during the online classes. I told them to take the yoga classes, PT classes, dance classes. So they started taking, and because of that, now we have started with nursery classes also, and they are really enjoying. They want to come to school, and they are coming to the school. Yeah.
So Vagish ji, I
Yes.
had a related question for
Yes,
John
yes,
sir
please.
only
Go ahead.
on the same topic. And that's a question which is more to do as to how you're trying to solve it. So I'll give you the question. So now that you're saying that the schools are open and you are doing both online and offline together, I'm assuming that in the case of Dehradun, it could be in some cases like the attendance is, the schools have opened with 50% occupancy or something. So half of the students come on certain days and the other half come on the other day and something like that. So in this kind of a mode, I want to understand exactly in what mode Acacia Public School is actually running the program. And isn't it a bit challenging, to conduct two things simultaneously, online as well as offline? So there is an offline environment and then half of the students are online. So aren't there challenges involved isn't it more difficult for the teacher to conduct two sessions simultaneously?
Yeah, as I told you earlier, in our school, as far as our school is concerned, okay, there's no 50-50%, because the strength of the school is not so much. Okay, in all the classes, maximum 30-35 students are there, so they are coming. All the students are coming. Hardly 1 or 2 or 3 students or 3 or 4 students are not coming. So they are getting the online classes. The teachers are keeping the device where whatever they are teaching. But again, I'm saying, the students, those who are in the offline mode, they are getting a lot of benefit as compared to the online students.
Of course.
And online students are not coming regularly also. Online, because they have, if I don't want to attend the meeting, okay, I'll say that, oh, my net is not coming. Okay, how can you just prove that, okay, this person net is not coming? Because net connectivity is the biggest problem. Okay, although we are going to have the 5G and all these things in future, but the net problem will be there. Okay, connectivity problem will be there. So this is the
What is the situation in Anita ma'am's case, ma'am? Are you also offering both online and offline? And how are you, if you are doing that, how are you doing? Because let's assume that the burden of teachers are going to become double. They have to teach offline as well as they have to do online. And we are hearing lots of difficulty in terms of teachers getting resentful about it. How you are going about, first of all, the reality check?
Yes, as I said initially, that the readiness and the preparedness post 1.5 years of staying back at home was like a nightmare for the students, the teachers, and even the institution also, for that matter. But the other side of the coin, the flip side of the coin, the parents were eager to push the students to the school. They were finding it very difficult at home work from home and manage the students at home, especially the students of the age group 10 to, say the kindergarten children and all, right? They were just wanting the schools to start. That was what was the scenario. But they had a fear also about how the school is going to manage with the pandemic and the SOPs of the pandemic. That was a huge challenge we had initially. See, for 1 month, what we did is we had both online and offline until the students were psychologically fit and fine and get tuned to the offline. So we had both online and offline. We had set the timetable for the teachers also in such a way that they were handling, say, some around 3 classes in the morning offline, and with a break of 1 hour, again 3 classes post the lunch, online classes. And we have bridged the timetable in such a way that no teacher gets more than 4 periods, including online and offline. So we were able to manage with all the assets what we have in the school, right? So it was not, it didn't hamper our teaching. And initially we also had the hybrid, synchronous and asynchronous classes also parallelly happening. The teacher is in the class with all the equipments in such a way that the camera, the system, and everything is, the projector is focused to the teacher. The teacher is teaching on the board. Even that can be, the remote learning also was happening simultaneously. That helped us a lot initially. So post which gradually the parents started getting the faith in the school and the SOPs which were followed, and now we have a set of, more than 99% of the school is it's filled. The students are there in the campus. They're healthy. They see the flow. They see how the SOPs are followed in the school. So luckily, yeah, that's basically after 1.5 months that we have this strength in the school. And some of the cases wherein there are some students who are very sensitive with their health, there are some health issues with the students, we are still providing the online classes for them, which is a blessing in disguise for them at this point of time to engage them.
So a related question, Anita ma'am, Magiji, if I can ask.
Please go ahead,
so,
sir.
now, as you said that for 1.5 months after the schools reopened, it was both online and offline, synchronous as well as asynchronous. And now that students and parents started having faith, so the tilt is more towards offline. But you also mentioned some of the positives of online during the last 1 year, which was agency of learning going to this child, more of flipped method of learning. So now that we are kind of going back to the offline mode, more of it, how do you want to carry forward those positives that got implemented during the the full online learning environment, the flipped model of teaching and learning? How do you want to carry that forward, or do you have plans to carry those things which you did for the last 1.5 years in the next session, or you would like to completely discard that and go back to the way you were teaching before the pandemic? So that's
enough is enough.
Yeah.
Definitely not. See, it's debatable actually. There are both pros and cons with this. But I definitely find something positive in, when we were doing the online. We should actually say, I can discuss about the 3 important points there, that the differential learners, they were more benefited with the online teaching. We could give them micro and core planning. We could give them a different set of teaching in all, teaching methodologies and all for them online, which will not happen in the classroom scenario because I have to focus on everybody at the same time. But here I have always had a chance to just pick some of the learners who definitely need, special attention, who definitely need some different way of strategies of teaching them. I can group them, I can separate them, and I can give them some task. I can give some of the students a task. We had rooms during the online classes wherein I can give individual core teaching for them. So differential learners were actually benefited by the online, which I feel still we need to continue with that.
It's a very important
That is
point.
absolutely good. And second thing is, say the time constraint was not there, and the students were given a la carte of their choice. They can sit at any point of time and just, it's the mindset of the child. I cannot force a child to learn. So when it comes to online, I can just design a time for them that, okay, this is the best time for them to come online. At 6 o'clock, I can take class. Whereas here in the school, we have limits. I have to send them back home. Now the teaching is not only confined to 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock. I can go beyond. The child says, "Ma'am, I want to come online now. I want this." Yes, please come. We are there, right? But there, the teachers were having a problem with their families, with their personal life that hampered their personal life. But though they could adjust the time in such a way that even they had time at home to spend with their children, and also to set the timetable in such a flexible way that they can take the classes whenever they were free. So, that will not happen here in the school scenario, isn't it? So it was in all a nice avenue to just give that flexibility in teaching as well as learning. That was wonderful online, which will never happen offline. So, yeah, we will continue with some of the procedures. As I said, can design assignments for them online. We can take such initiatives to continue with the online as well as the offline, which cannot happen here.
Fantastic. We have, sorry, go ahead, Arindam.
No, I said that, I mean, these are very interesting views, and the way you have leveraged the online and technology to kind of give special attention to children, identify their special needs, and accordingly create breakout sessions, and also the flexibility of time that you talked about. Very few schools actually did that. Schools still continued with fixed time, but the option of giving flexibility of timing, it's a very interesting thing. Thank you so much for sharing your views. I think we have Gayatri ma'am with us now.
Yes.
Ragiji, if you
We
can.
are coming to the last leg of the program, but Gayatri ma'am has managed to join us. So welcome, Gayatri ma'am, and tell us something about yourself first of all.
Thank you so much.
Has the school started? All the people, all the students have joined?
Yes,
How are you going?
yes.
Online, offline, how are you going about it?
Yes, good evening, all my learned friends. This is Gayatri Kulkarni. I have been in this profession for the last 31 years. I was in teaching as a teaching person for more than 20 years, and in administration for the past 10 years. But still that teaching instinct, it is very much alive in me. So I have to share my opinion regarding this blended learning and the hybrid form of learning. We started our offline classes from December 1st for grade 1 to 7. So what I feel is, sir, the smaller classes, they enjoy coming to school because they were perhaps missing the interaction that was happening with the teachers and with the peers. So they are all happy. And the grades, the bigger grades, that is 8 to 10, they enjoy both the classes. As my previous speaker was, emphasizing on it, that this pandemic situation, not everything is a curse about it, sir. See, there were certain good aspects also. What I feel is this has given room for many options, many avenues that are available for us. So at times, a perfect blend of offline and online would do a great job with the students. That is what I feel, sir.
Thank you so much, Gayatri ma'am. I think this is very interesting, and there's so much to learn from everyone today.
Just a minute, one second. So this Sangameshwar school is from Sholapur, and
Yeah.
have your students joined offline? All your students have joined offline? They are coming to the school?
So about 75 to 80% students are joining offline, sir. There are only few people, some are outstation candidates. And some still have that fear that, if they are sending them to school, then we are taking a lot of risk.
Okay, so
So
how are you
only the-
catering? How are you catering to them?
Sir, we are having both the options open. We are having both the online and offline options open, sir.
Okay, Arindam.
Because that was the demand, and even the state government education ministry says that we cannot force any child to come to school, and moreover we have to offer them both the services.
So we have a question at the end of the day.
Okay.
I would request Arindam to take up that question. And
Before this, I would like to just tell
Yes,
the advantages also, okay, of the online classes.
Yeah, John, sir, please.
Few points I'll just tell, as ma'am Anita said, we can work from anywhere and at any time. Okay,
Yes.
this is the online classes, and the flexibility is there, and we can review the lectures also. If the recording is there, so we can give the students also, okay, you're not able to understand in this session, okay, I've recorded it, you can just see to it, okay, and you can ask the questions afterwards. And the third thing is those who are having the anxiety of speaking in the classroom, so they can discuss, or they discussed all these things, because most of the students they don't want to discuss in front of others. So in online classes, they were much relaxed in asking the question. So these are the things I just want to discuss with you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John, sir. I think, I mean, no system is ever perfect, whether it is online or offline. Everything has got some positives and some negatives. And as Gayatri ma'am also mentioned, I think as we are going back to the traditional ways of teaching and learning, we can perhaps try to still, inculcate some of those positives that happened during the online classes, and see how we can make learning, teaching more interactive, more efficient, more effective. That's the overall plan. And every pandemic situation has some learnings for all of us,
Yes.
like this one as well. And important, how do we kind of leverage that? We have a question from one of the attendees. The question is, the way educators define and measure student engagement is variable. How would you measure engagement? What parameters for you would be indicative of student engagement? The second part of the question is, what kind of assessments will be most productive to understand if students are engaged in online classroom environments? So the question is on how would you measure student engagement, and what kind of assessments you would conduct to actually understand their engagement. So anyone can respond. I mean, this is open to Anita ma'am, Gayatri ma'am, or John sir, whoever wants to respond to this. Measuring student.
I'll just add one or two lines.
Yeah.
The engagement of the student should be totally activity-based engagement. Okay, because if we will not engage the students on the activity base, means no interactive classes are there, so there will be always, if you can force them, but the learning process will not go. Okay, so activity-based engagement is very much required. So this I just want to clear in one line, and other things, ma'am is there, ma'am Gayatri is also there. They can give their views.
I just would like to add my inputs. From time to time, assessments can be sent. Then we can encourage the students to do presentations, sir.
Right.
That is one way of assessing them, their active engagement. Worksheets can be sent, presentation, then portfolios, student portfolio. Okay, so all these things, plus the peer learning can also happen. Through these things, we can assess their active engagement, sir.
Right, right.
Well, I totally agree with the peer learning which happens when we give a task of that kind. What I found actually was when they wrote the test assessments online, there were students who got 90s, more than 90s, and the moment they came here and they wrote the test, they got 0 also. That was what is reflecting in my mind now, that why do we need to test them? Why do we need to evaluate, just to understand did we engage the child productively or not? So that's very, very important as an objective for a teacher. As I said, online became, child centric. The very first thing I said is AI driven quizzes, which is motivating the child to help the child to understand himself or herself, and they're self evaluating. We need not evaluate them at all at that point of time. They complete a task, that is designed in such a way that they have to complete a task. It is just like you have the games in your mobiles. You complete one level, then you go to the next level, you go to the next level. That is how the child is moving on from one level to the other level using the AI driven technology, right? Second thing, yes, we give them test, but do we understand the parent is helping the child, or they are fetching the answers through WhatsApp exchange, and they are getting the answers from the Google? We don't know. So the best thing what we did is we gave them an open book test, exam, wherein they can see the answer, check the answer, take the answers. They find the answers by themselves. At least they look into what exactly they are learning, or where exactly is that topic in the book, and we know that they are searching the answers from the book. At least they attempt. Okay, you take this, you find out where exactly it is, do you have any doubts, and come back. Now it's very important that evaluation, how do we evaluate them? There are methods, as madam said, Gayatri Kulkarni madam said, that we can give them presentations. So when I say presentations, you give them group activities wherein the child, we can give the rooms for the children, like we make online groups for the kids,
Yeah,
and
true.
they start interacting with each other. That
Yes,
is
yes.
visible. We give them time, we give them, as now we are having this session and this discussion. Group discussion was one thing which was very wonderful, which happened online.
Yes.
We could see some of the passive students interacting with the teachers online. They were not conscious because they hesitated in the class. So group
Yeah.
discussions were there. We had certain parameters. We started giving points based on the parameters. And when I say it's a group activity, the students actively take part. They make a peer group of their own understanding, and they pitch in the points, and that becomes very reflective way of evaluating the students
True,
by
true.
involvement in that. So I go back group discussion, and I said flip learning initially when I took up the topic, that helped me a lot when we were analyzing and evaluating the students whether they are active or not. And with all these things, evaluating them was a task wherein we found that some of the students who were passive, who were not coming online, we could give them differential learning platforms.
True.
We started using gamification, coding. We had a tie-up with one of the Japanese coding company called Progate. So there were few students who were not very active in the class though, but they started utilizing their technological skills, decoding some of the concepts, right? So there they were more active. They were designing their websites, they were designing games. So gamification helped us a lot in some of the aspects. So I
This
think
is
it's a
this is
different arena of evaluating. Even we discovered it.
Yeah,
this is
Thank you, ma'am. I
fantastic.
think this is very, very
that's true.
useful. Yep.
Yes, so we are. I mean, this great discussion that is happening. Uh, for me, it should continue for another few hours, and we should be learning from each other. But unfortunately, time is coming to the close. So I think that one of the things that comes from the inputs from the three experienced principals that we had with us is that during this pandemic, one of the most important things, and I'm just trying to tell the crux of the whole thing, is that giving agency to the students, more and more agency to the students, that they become self-directed, self-motivated learners themselves. That is the most important gain during this period. And that was possible because of learning in their own pace, learning in their own time and place, and all those kind of things. And they can also think of their own path of learning that this online space provides. And once they come to offline, you cannot just ignore online. That is how. And then one of the things that, like group learning, does not happen most often in the offline. we never have the time to go for these kind of elaborate things in the classroom. 45 minutes class, and there are so many things to be covered. So the problem of covering the syllabus leads you to ignore the uncovering of joy of learning. Uncovering the joy of learning. We are so obsessed with covering the syllabus and all that. But this online has kind of presented us with the opportunity where we became aware of multiple representations that can be presented to the students, then multiple avenues of engagement with the students as peer learning, differential learning, and all those that have been presented by them, and the multiple avenues of expression for the students to come up. So whether you are coding or some other kind of things, that was not the part of the general or e-portfolio that Madam Gayatri Madam was talking about, has come up as the newer ways of looking at students, giving their creativity a vent, that yes, they can express themselves like that. So newer avenues of expression has also come up during this period. And the challenge for all the thinking principles is how to integrate all these learnings into the offline, and not to say that enough is enough and we are back to square one. Probably that is not what I'm hearing from all the three principles. That is for me the summing up. Arindam, last words.
No, thank you, Vageeshji, for summarizing the discussion points, and you have highlighted the key points over here. I would like to really extend my heartfelt thanks to Anita ma'am, Gayatri ma'am, John sir, for taking the time out of your busy schedules and attending this webinar. It's our small effort at learning from each other. At the end of the day, we want to build a community of practice where teachers, school leaders can actually share their ideas, and we learn from each other. As John sir said in the morning, that it's always a lifelong learning. You can never say that I have learned enough. So you continue to learn at whichever point in time in life you are, and that's been the effort from our side to learn from you, because you are the ones who are actually dealing with students and teachers, and more importantly with parents on a day-to-day basis. And we would really like to continue this exercise of connecting and learning with the overall the objective being, how do we make learning more efficient, more effective, and more joyous for the children. So thank you so much once again for joining us.
Yes, and we are signing off by thanking our participants, many of them who have joined today, and this will be made available offline as well, so you can share it with others also. Thank you so much. With that, we are signing off. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.